Hello, and thank you for joining My Five. My name is Addie Hochschild, and I make videos about all things volleyball. This video is for players, because there's a lot of things on this video that you can do at home. Coaches, if you're watching, I like to teach a little bit unconventional. I think that it resonates in a different way than just doing repetitions can. Reps are good, but I like this way too, so bear with me. If you've seen some of the videos before, please make sure that you subscribe and like this channel. Please share it with all of your teammates and friends who are also trying to get better at volleyball. So here we go, talking about 5 facts of arm swing readiness. What do we mean by arm swing readiness? How ready are you to hit the ball? Is your arm ready to go when you get to the top of your approach? Some things that will tell you if your arm isn't ready is if you hit the tape a lot, or if you're hitting on the way down, if your rhythm feels off, if you whiff the ball, if you like waffle it to the wall or something, if you don't get a good contact, if you hit it out. Or oftentimes I find that if you're touching it on your wrist, a lot of times your arm's not ready to hit it. When I started to get it as a player, I started to cue in on what does my arm feel like? What does my spacing feel like? What does it look like? I watch myself on video a lot too. You should do that. Sometimes when you think your arm's ready, you see it on video and it's not actually ready. So let's talk about it. The beauty and the importance of doing a video that just isolates arm readiness is that it applies to every position. So even though I show mostly pin hitters in this video, it also applies to middles, back row attackers. Anyone who's gonna jump and hit the ball just needs to have better arm readiness. Fact number 1, your arm swing is actually part of your approach. It should be one fluid motion all the way through, starting from your feet into your upper body lift and arm swing. I remember Steph Curry actually talking about this in an article. I read that he could tell that the 3 was gonna go in, or his shot was gonna go in, when he planted his feet. It felt like a wave coming up his body in one big motion, and by the time he had finished his release into his finish, he knew if it was gonna go in or not. Spiking motion is similar. You should be able to feel one smooth motion all the way up to the ball. Here's the difference. Players take note, all of these moves are connected. Fact number 2. You are more likely to have your arm be ready to hit if you can plant your feet and start opening kind of at the same time. It should feel like you're open and ready before you actually leave the ground. Now, the girls in the video that I'm working with are between 12 and 15 years old or so, and I like to show you this age group because I could play professionals and college athletes for you to watch all day long. And the fact is that a lot of them have done it for a really long time, so they make it look super easy, and it doesn't look like that when you start to learn it. So I want you to see what it looks like when you start. Now, the equipment that I'm using in the video, you may not have at home. I was using a fairly large box, unless she's a beginner. If you're a beginner, maybe start with a smaller box, but definitely try to get up onto a bigger box as soon as you can. I also like to use a low hurdle just to get some energy going over into your approach. But if you don't have a hurdle at home, you can just stack some books on top of each other or put a backpack down. I think in this video, I have a backpack on the floor. You can use pillows or towels, just something that's low enough for you to get over. Let's watch. Good, 1. If you're a coach and watching this, remember that we're just focused on getting that arm back before she lands on the box. I'm not worried about what their hit looks like. I'm not worried about her elbow and her arm swing, or even where the ball goes. I just want her to focus on feeling herself get open before she lands on the box. So I snuck up on her and tossed it so that she wouldn't be overly focused on the result. But now she knows I'm gonna toss it, and she's looking for the ball. So she delays her arm swing, and that's what happens. Back to putting your focus in the right spot. Fact number 3, having a really fast front swing, a really powerful front swing, can actually help you get open earlier and faster. What's a front swing? A front swing is when your arms go back and you throw them forward, and that lifts you in the air. It can also give you a little bit of extra height in your jump, and that's also where your hang time comes from. Coaches, you'll see that I'm waiting until she's actually on the box to start tossing the ball. To progress this, I'll start tossing it a bit sooner when she's on her way up to the box. This way it starts to make the tempo a bit more real. And it forces them to get their shoulder open sooner. Occasionally, they'll need a reminder that the faster you get from this position to this position, the more ready you're going to be to hit the ball. Here it is again in full speed. And look out for this. Fact number 4. Once you get your arms to go forward with that speed, now you want to open up and like almost chest bump the setter. You want to get open to the ball and to the setter where the ball's coming from. Once you're open, you'll feel a pinch in your shoulder blade. And if you can pinch that shoulder blade back, that will open you up even more. Sometimes when I see a lot of players think they get open, it may look like this, and that kind of looks open, except for their chest is facing the net. And if you're the setter, she's gonna set the ball this direction into this hand. So you're not actually open, the ball will come and hit your arm. So if you can just open your chest to the setter and pinch that shoulder blade back, feel that pinch, then you're more ready to see the ball coming towards you and you can swing at the right time. Here's where it gets a little unconventional and weird. But I've done this with so many athletes and it's worked almost every time. I don't know what it is about how the brain works and your body and remembering what it was, but things, if they're just weird enough, you'll remember it. And you can feel for it in practice. This is an isolated way to get that front swing, chest open, and shoulder blade pinch to be all in one motion and much more powerful. This is her first time doing it, so she's going a little bit easy trying to get the feel for it, but you'll see this drill get progressively better as we go on. There's a strengthening exercise for this move at the end of the video. Swing. Hitting the ball backwards, as you just saw, emphasizes a fast front swing. If you want to emphasize an elbow draw, try this. Make sure that your hand is close to your ear and not above your head and high. Yes, perfect. Like that again. Yes. Don't get complacent with your arm going in circles. Of some of my older girls demonstrating what it looks like in real time. I would like to point out before you watch these clips that although these girls are older than the girls in the previous videos, these girls might be the same age as you. And some of them are outsides that used to be middles. One of them is a setter hitting on the right side. So it doesn't really matter where you're hitting from, your arm needs to be ready. In slow-mo, you can see her arm swing and her approach happen in one smooth motion. She starts her chest bump and her shoulder blade pinch as she's planting her feet. This way, she can access power from behind her on her way up. Also, pinching that shoulder blade back can create better spacing between you and the ball when you find yourself a little bit too close to the ball. Let me show you. If I find myself approaching way too close to the ball this way, I'm almost underneath it, okay, arms as back as I can make it, if I can just squeeze open, now I've created more space between my arm and the ball. Kinda ready, really ready. See that? She really gets underneath the ball right there. The ball was nearly behind her because where she planted her feet was directly underneath the ball. Now you can also be late if you plant your feet on time, but you wait to swing because your arm's not ready. So here she's directly underneath the ball. I'm gonna fix her feet so that she plants behind the ball and the ball's in front of her, but you can also get this same spacing between you and the ball just by opening up your shoulder. In a minute, I'll show you a drill that you can use to help your foot spacing. There it is, good girl. This is a much better takeoff point with her feet based on where she sees the ball. Here are some older girls showing that the faster and earlier your takeoff, the better your spacing is. Getting that chest bump position and your shoulder blade pinched allows you to access more power by getting a little bit more torque. Your power comes from back here, behind you, not from in front of you. So you always want to get your power from back here. And if you imagine what it feels like, your body is kind of like a towel. When you get that wet towel and you want to wring it out like this, you twist it real hard. That's what your body's doing. You're opening it up and you're wringing it out. That creates more power because you're more ready. Shoulder spacing is different than foot spacing. Here's a quick way I fix that. Here she planted her feet a little too close to the ball and moved her head, like that. All you should have to do to reinforce that you're in the right space is make yourself tall. Bring your forehead to the ball by making yourself long and then freeze in the air. The progression of this drill is to tip it instead of using your head, but you want to line up like you're going to head it, but don't. Don't hit it or do anything crazy with your wrist. I know this video is mostly about trying to get the arm ready to hit and back in a pinched open position, but remember, this is just for spacing. And finally, fact number 5. Having an arm swing that is ready to fire when you get to the top of your jump can actually create what I call the sound gap. The sound gap is the sound, you can hear it, the sound that your feet make when they hit the ground in your last 2 steps of your approach and when you hit the ball. So it should sound like this. Sometimes you'll hear a sound gap that if you're slow on your approach or delayed in your arm swing, it'll sound like this. Oftentimes, if you hear it that big of a gap in between your feet and your touch, then you're hitting it on the way down. You also don't want it to sound like this. Just a nice, smooth. Once you start listening for that sound gap, you can't unhear it. Now what she just did in those last 2 seconds, I wasn't really paying attention to her getting her elbow back or starting to open early on time. I was just trying to get her to hear the sound gap. So now that she's heard the sound gap, I can now correct what she's actually doing, positioning her feet to be a little bit more open, planting her feet sideways, and trying to get up and her shoulder back as she's planting her feet so that she can hit on her way up. That's what creates the sound gap. What she was hitting is called a 1 or a first tempo attack, and typically middles hit first tempo attacks. But this girl isn't a middle, she's an outside. So what I'm going to try to do is get her to hit the same tempo with the same sound gap, but instead of you go and then I throw, I'm going to switch it to I'm going to throw and then you go. This is super subtle, but here's what it looks like when you plant your feet on time, but you wait just a split second too long to actually swing. Okay, so here is a supplemental exercise that you can do to help get their front swing a little bit more powerful so they can lift themselves into the air a little easier, both for live attacking and on the box. I have a 14-pound weight ball. You can use something else, but if you have access to these, they're very helpful. All you're gonna do is take it between the knees like this, in a squat, and you're gonna bring your hips forward and shoulder back at the same time and throw this ball up and over your head. Between your knees, butt back, back flat, abs tight, and hips forward, shoulders back. I think that really helps with going from here to here in your arm swing and getting more explosion out of your jump. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope that some of these ideas made sense and you can use them. How awesome would it be to show up at practice and just be faster? So make sure that you like and subscribe to the page so that you get more videos, share them with your teammates, and go practice.